Off. Hello, my name is Sophie Rossman, and I'm an intern here at the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge. Today, we're talking with Melanie Hoffman of Drawdown, Alberta in Canada. We're really excited to share their story with you about their challenge. So Melanie, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us your 90-day challenge goal.
Hi, my name is Melanie Hoffman. As Sophie said, I am a PhD chemist who has pivoted from working in higher education into working specifically on climate solutions education. And so in that context, through my work on accessible solutions with the King Centre for Visualization in Science here in Edmonton, Alberta, I got introduced to the framework of Project Drawdown. And we've been able to integrate that in our KCVS Climate Solutions Suite, but I've always wanted to see more engagement locally in the solutions context, especially as our province is struggling with a vision for its future. And to me, Project Drawdown offers a beautiful handbook of currently available solutions to activate at the community level. So that is something I've been having conversations about already, and the International Climate Action Challenge was a wonderful opportunity to provide a bit of framework and guidance to kick things really into action.
That's great. I think you might have touched on this a little bit, but if you have any more background on just why you wanted to start or launch this specific initiative, and I think you talked a little bit about why you participated in this challenge, but if there's any more background on the initiative itself.
Yeah, so certainly as someone who is just very curious-minded, I have a lot of different interests and a lot of things I would like to be involved with. And so this idea of Drawdown Alberta had been floating around in the background. And yeah, like I mentioned, it's really driven by what feels like a lack of a vision for what it is that we're working toward, not what it is that we're trying to get away from. So really giving people something positive to rally around that is grounded in reality, not in banking on some future research breakthrough or anything of that kind. And yeah, that's been really pressing locally, and it was something I wanted to work on, but hadn't found sort of the impetus to really focus my time on it. And when I saw the International Climate Action Challenge and this offer of having guidance, having mentorship, having a group of people to work with and a strategy to apply, that was just exactly what a curious mind like mine that easily rabbit holes into too many different directions was craving, and felt like it would really enable something good to come forth.
Yeah. So what was your experience like during the 90 days? Any ups and downs that you were having?
Yeah, lots for sure. What a crazy 90 days it's been. Hey, I know in the US even more so, with you guys going through the election. Everyone in the world was watching that, and then having COVID and back to school. I'm working on a youth project as my actual paid work at the moment, and so dealing with trying to support teachers in schools right now, it's a crazy situation. And so there was certainly lots of ups and downs through the context, but really huge ups through the Climate Action Challenge, because also facilitated by COVID and the fact that we had to have online meetings, it made it really easy or easier to engage folks across Alberta in this idea of Project Drawdown, making it not just a local Edmonton initiative, but being able to regularly have members from other places in the province join our weekly team meetings. So that was a real up to be able to connect meaningfully with people across the province. It was wonderful to see the interest and to experience how when you ask, if you have an ask that is suitable to people's interests, then people will come. I am terrible at asking people for anything, and having the International Climate Action Challenge just push me to say, hey, who wants to work on me with this? And let's have weekly meetings and grow this. It was really awesome to see the team grow from week to week and evolve with just lots of really strong individuals coming in and bringing their interests and experiences into the group. So that's been really amazing. For downs, I would say like nothing really strong, except for just that challenge that with the commitment to 2% for life, this idea that we're spending 3 hours a week working towards something that is really meaningful to us. I'm glad to say that all my work centers around this kind of thing, but Drawdown Alberta is not all of my work since it's not yet funded. And so that was maybe one of the biggest challenges, is to accept that there's only so much you can achieve in 3 hours a week when you're trying to build a team and you're building new relationships and you're trying to build a big movement. In that context, it's sort of like, maybe it would have been smarter to do something more local than trying to think through a provincial initiative in 90 days. But it's kicked us off in a good direction. And so managing expectations and just seeing the way that things are moving forward, even if I haven't been able to do all the things that the workbook offers and the Climate Action Challenge encourages yet, it will happen. We know that we're moving there.
So speaking of your team growing, how many team members did you have at the start and how many do you have now?
So we started off at the first meeting with 2 other amazing women that joined me for that meeting. And so it was just 3 of us in the beginning, and we now have about a dozen people who are regularly part of it, a total of 15 who are on our core team mailing list. And so we've had really good growth and interest, and through our integration that happened with the Alberta Environmental Network adopting Drawdown Alberta to their climate caucus, we're effectively now in actually a core of 96 members of the climate caucus who are involved in drawdown work and will in some way or form contribute and hopefully benefit from the work that we're doing. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah, that's great. How many partnerships have you developed during the challenge?
And so we're definitely still in fairly early stages of our partner outreach. We have more than 100 on our list of 100 partners for this work in the province, but have not had the capacity yet to reach out to most of the folks that I'm really excited about letting know about this initiative. Lots of growth to come, but with the members that we effectively have 15 organizations that are contributing or partnering with the work right now that have formal partnerships. And then we're looking forward to really building this as a network between existing organizations who we still need to tap on the shoulder and say, hey, we know that you're doing great work on drawdown solutions in our province. Can we amplify? How can we support? How can we make this work?
Yeah, for sure.
Public.
What kind of impact has your initiative had, both generally and numerically, through the challenge?
Yeah, so I think in terms of our impact, we're still really early on because we haven't yet launched our social media. We're still really doing some identity finding and some early research around how we're going to launch the structure provincially. And with that, it's still fairly low key, but we were really pleased. We did one community event to watch the film 2040 together, which was a beautiful visual introduction to drawdown solutions and some adjacent ideas like donut economics. And we had over 60 people sign up for the event. Climate Reality Canada was doing a screening of the film. So we provided the Climate Reality Canada link to everyone who signed up, and they were able to watch the film on their own time. For the viewing that we actually hosted, we had about 35 people present to watch the film with us and to join a discussion afterwards. And yeah, so that's, I guess, the number of people that we have in person on Zoom interacted with through this early stage. And so we're looking forward to broadening that with a strategic planning forum that we're now planning for early next year.
Awesome. I'm curious, which parts of the challenge were most helpful to you?
Yeah, most helpful to me was definitely the book and the workbook, as well as the personal connection there. It was really meaningful to have a one-on-one call with Joan at the beginning of the challenge. So to actually have an opportunity to meet the author of this and see her enthusiasm and learn a little about her experiences, both through talking to her in person, and then the book is written so personably that you can hear her speaking through it. So it was really enjoyable to have that, and really helpful to have a framework of steps to follow that are grounded in experience, to know that this is a formula that will likely result in good things. And there we go, we've seen that. And so having that was really helpful, as well as the amazing offerings of mentorship and connection that were there, which really, again, the biggest hindrance there is myself in that context, because I know I need to be better at asking when I get stuck, because I still have this thing that I should be able to figure things out on my own. And so it was wonderful to have a community there and to have folks who were really responsive in checking in. And I would also say that like the weekly check-in and the reminders around that, even though I didn't manage to do many of my weekly check-ins, having that reminder was really helpful, because like it keeps you on track and keeps you going.
Yeah, community is definitely so important. And that's
Absolutely.
great with this challenge for sure. And you've mentioned a lot about how you're going to continue to grow your initiative and moving forward. So if you could talk a little bit about your next steps in your initiative and the challenge, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thank you. And yeah, because we're really still filling in some of the details, because like I think one part that I would share with anyone who's considering the Climate Action Challenge is make sure that you really integrate your team into the Climate Action Challenge. I didn't do that very well at all. I'm the only one on our team who actually followed the challenge. And so I wasn't effectively sharing with my team exactly what it is that we're working on and why, and what the next steps were. In the early weeks, we often had different folks who would attend every meeting, so there was no continuity in the early stages where we were just getting to know each other and the ideas of what it is that we might be trying to do. And yeah, we are really coming together around the details of the movement at the moment, really digging into, we're developing a theory of change and doing some backcasting to think about what is the goal that we're trying to achieve and what do we believe are the steps that are going to lead us there. That's the next thing for us, is to really test our assumptions and make sure that we're on the right track in terms of what is understood around changing behavior, changing culture, all the transitions that we need to make that are just so big but so meaningful. And yeah, we'll be doing a lot of engagement around that. We're starting to flesh out our plan for the next 6 months around what we actually want to be doing. We have lots of folks who are really excited around researching solutions in the province and figuring out all the organizations who are already working on solutions, reaching out to all of these organizations, asking how we can be of service, how our work can be of service, and then figuring out where the gaps are and where work in our province needs to move. So we'll have teams working on thinking about policy and connecting with the policy think tanks that are local. We'll have teams working on community outreach, working with probably the Pachamama Alliance drawdown workshops and indigenizing them for our local context. So we have some Indigenous leaders involved in that context, which I'm just really pleased with. And yeah, then really we want to do another day of action and then have a strategic planning forum that really draws in those many organizations that we see as future partners in this work to contribute to what they would like to see for a Drawdown Alberta movement, because we really want it to be built by the people of Alberta.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So how can people help you and support you or join you moving forward?
Yeah, awesome question. Thank you. At this point in time, the easiest ways to join or follow our activities are to either reach out directly to myself at melanie.hoffman@kingsu.ca, or find Drawdown Alberta on Facebook, which is the one social media account that is outward facing, public facing so far, I think. We have registered a website and everything, but it's not quite active yet. And then the other thing would be to connect with the Alberta Environmental Network. Their Climate Caucus has adopted Drawdown Alberta. And so that's another easy way to get involved, is to ask to join the Climate Caucus of the Alberta Environmental Network. And so that would be aenweb.org. And yeah, those are the channels through which we're operating at the moment. We are currently still having weekly meetings, and the Climate Caucus meets on a monthly basis. And then there'll also be Slack to get engaged. Opportunities there. If you're excited about this and you have a bunch of money with which you would like to do some good, we're definitely also open for offers of funding, because we're currently, of course, all doing this on a volunteer basis. And certainly for myself, I need to figure out some funding opportunities, because yeah, as the income earner for my household, I cannot afford to continue to do volunteer work indefinitely. So funding is the next thing that we will be looking at.
Yeah. And lastly, what is your advice for others who want to make an impact?
Definitely the community piece, and you had emphasized that already too, Sophie. It is so vital to not go it alone, to let people know about the great ideas that you have, to ask your community whether those great ideas resonate and what great ideas they have, because so often we find maybe that we're putting our ladder up the wrong house and the fire is actually burning elsewhere. And then to really stop and think about who is missing at your table and reach out to them. It's really important to think about the fact that relationships are fundamental to all of this. This has been some really tough learning for me, who as a scientist has moved into this field, learning about the social science of change and being really disappointed that like facts don't convince other people like they convince me, but that it's really about the storytelling and the relationships, and that we have to take our time, because in working on the climate crisis, the ecological crisis, there's an incredible urgency there for me, a lot of fear and anxiety, and a lot of desire to just make change now. And to acknowledge that for so many people in our society, these changes have been much deeper and longer than what we are experiencing in our lives. So thinking of Indigenous people who have been struggling with the destruction of their lifestyle and their culture for hundreds of years. I read an article last week that was really like, you poor freaked out white people, we've been dealing with this for a while. Bring it down a notch. And I'm paraphrasing the article that I read very poorly, but this is certainly part of what I know I have to sit with is, yes, it's urgent, but what is even more urgent is that we come together as people, as living beings with other people and other living beings in this world. So build community, ask those folks who are not present to come and join you, and ask them how you can create an environment that they want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. For those of you that want to find out more about how to do a challenge yourself or in your community, please visit www.climateactionchallenge.net. Thank you.